What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dustin and Tonya podcast.
2.0.
We are at 2.0 because this is season 2, and we're grateful to be back.
So grateful.
Last week we dropped our first episode in a very long time. Kind of got back to the grassroots, the beginning, how we met. Foundational. I like that. So this week, last week you probably seen, and maybe you see some of it this week on our table. Obviously, some of this is on video. Some people are listening to it on podcast. Mm-hmm. But on our kitchen table, we have a big family crest. And that is what you see in the video.
Yes.
And so today's episode, we want to talk about giving meaning to meaning, right? So what is this big family crest? What does it even mean? How do we go about it? What is it? Like, what I have found in my experience is a lot of people, or people in general, want their name, want their business, want their family, want their legacy to be known for something or to mean something. And what really boils down to is that you are the person that has to give meaning to meaning.
For sure.
Because if you allow everybody else to define what that is, or maybe their opinion, or whatever, you're going to run around lost at sea all the time, not knowing who or what you are or what you stand on.
For sure. And also, too, the actions that you take in life, representing who you are, give your name meaning.
Yeah. And in meaning altogether, like I said, whether it's your business, whether it's your family, whether it's your kid, whatever. Like we were talking earlier, like some people have named their kid Champion.
Yes.
Like the meaning behind champion is like winner, excel, to win, blah, 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 right? Yes. And other people, like the song, there's a boy named Sue. Like, man, why would you name this kid Sue? Right. But when you listen to the song and you put it all into reference, like the dad knew he wasn't going to be around, and he knew his kid was going to have to be fucking tough. So he was like, look, I'm not going to be here to raise you up to be a man. So I'm going to call you Sue so that you're either going to raise up to be a man or you're going to be completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a remembrance. Your name is going to have no meaning. And so I think all too often we allow other people to define who we are, what we want to be, where we want to go, what we want to do. And I think it hurts us. I think it cheapens who we are. I think it takes away from the experience. And I think, I was just talking about this the other day, but like I think there's a difference between experience and existence. And most people are on the existence side. But like some of that is because we've allowed other people to tell us like, oh, you're supposed to go to work 40 hours, till you're 65, roll out, die at 70, have a good day.
Yeah.
Right? Because we allow people to define that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think too that like a lot of it comes down to because you letting people define who you are comes down to because you don't know who you are.
Yeah, which is totally understandable right now.
Absolutely.
And so, go ahead.
And so if you don't know who you are, it's easy to let other people tell you who you are.
Yeah, and like, unfortunately, this starts at a very young age when it's really not your choice.
Yeah.
Right? So your mom and dad named you. The school teacher called you the troublemaker. You know what I mean? Like, when my parents went to a parent-teacher conference, they knew Dustin did good on his test. He didn't turn in very much homework, and he talks too fucking much. Call my mom right now. She will tell. Those 3 things were on every report card. Right. From the day I was freaking getting report cards to the day I wasn't getting report cards anymore, every report card said all 3 of those things. I was smart enough to crush the test. I didn't give a fuck about the homework. And as far as the rest of it, it didn't matter to me.
Which you can take on that.
Yeah.
Right? You get called that, right? Like, you're the troublemaker. You don't pay attention in school. And it's like, yeah, I don't pay attention in school. Yeah, I am a troublemaker.
Yeah.
You start to take on
that meaning.
The meaning of what other people define you as. But if you don't know who you are, you can't say, that ain't me. That's not who I am.
Yeah, if you looked at me and said, man, you're the dumbest black guy I ever met. Like, I don't understand that.
Right.
Why? Because it doesn't mean anything to me. It has no. But if you were like, man, you're the ugliest tattooed motherfucker I ever met, it would be like, wait a minute here.
I'm tattooed.
How many people do you know that are
Right.
tattooed? Like, is this only 2? Because I'm a handsome son of a bitch, and I'm sorry that guy's ugly.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's meaning to that.
Yeah.
And someone's trying to put meaning on that.
Yes.
So to turn this whole thing and head in the direction that we want to share of the things that principles and tools and things that we've used in our life to define meaning in our lives. Let's talk about our family crest.
Yeah.
And when I say our family crest, when you use the word Johnson, when you said I do, you were given a new last name.
I was.
We can call it a second beginning, we can call it whatever we want, but like you were given a new last name. And at that time, my last name became your last name. And at the time, like, yeah, it's a good name, Johnson, cool, you know, whatever. Like there's I don't know, there's 7.8 billion people on the planet, 7 billion of them have the last name of Johnson, just to be clear. Like,
not Karbowski.
Yeah. So Tonya's original or maiden
My
name,
maiden name is Karbowski.
Karbowski.
Like that's a very not common name.
Yeah. And then
I remember like once I switched to Johnson, it was like, oh, I don't have to say how to spell that.
Yeah, K-A-R. Yeah. Like, I get it. Yeah. But it's like, at the end of the day, when me and you got married, all the way back to the beginning, like which we talked about foundationally last week, I was just a dude, you were just a chick, and we didn't have meaning to anything.
No.
We were doing the meaning that we had been given to us. Go to work, get a job, get insurance, get married,
bills.
buy a house, get 2 cars, whatever. And that was life. That was what I was shown. That was what you were shown. That was all that we knew. So what did we do? We got in line.
And went to work.
And got our stuff and blah, blah, blah. So that was what a Johnson did.
Yes.
Johnsons are hard workers. Johnson's freaking, you know what I mean? Like, we don't call in sick. We're showing up. Doesn't matter if I've literally laid down at like 5:50 in the morning, drunk as all get out, only for my alarm to go off 10 minutes later and literally put the exact same clothes on that I was just wearing.
Yeah.
Get back in the railroad van, get back in my piece of equipment, and freaking work all day after 10 minutes of sleep. That's what Johnson was to me.
Sure.
That was 15 years ago. My father passed down hard work. We don't call in sick, like retire, 401k, do the whole thing. That was the Johnson meaning.
Yeah.
His father, same way.
Right.
Work hard, model American, pay your taxes, don't cross the street unless you're in the intersection, otherwise you're jaywalking. Right? So it was kind of like, follow the rules, stay in line, do what you're told. Don't get too outside of the lines, which is beautiful. Like, maybe I should have listened harder to some of that.
Sure.
But that's not how it went.
Right.
Great tools, great upbringing, like taught me how to be a hard fucking worker.
Yeah.
Grateful for that.
Yeah.
After that, we took on the name together. And from there, we started forging. We started pushing. We started grinding and figuring out life, figuring out marriage, figuring out businesses and travel and all these things. We took on all these things because we wanted meaning in our life. Now, this is where it gets really twisted is me and you don't have kids to pass this down.
Right.
That doesn't give you a fucking excuse not to be known for something or not to be remembered by.
Exactly.
Period.
Yes.
And so we could have easily sat back, drank beer, said, fuck it, we ain't passing shit on to nobody. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna work, retire, blah, blah, blah. And we decided we wanted different than that.
Yes.
So we created our own family crest.
We did.
With our own core values.
That we defined for us.
We defined the core values and we defined the meaning of every single piece of this deal.
Yeah.
And that now is what Johnson means to me. So every day when I walk out and I see this shield on my table, I know this is what I represent. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And this is how I want people to know who I am. This is how I want people to remember who I am. And this is how I want people to see me on social media, on the stage, on the podcast, on the freaking down at the gym.
Store.
Yeah, sitting in the hot tub, or real talk. This is who I want to be at 2 o'clock in the morning when shit gets wild.
Yeah.
I want to be the person that when you call, he's going to show up and he's going to work.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be good if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
But no, this is what is coming with me. Like at this point, we have Burn the Boats Apparel Company. I wear it every day, everywhere that I go, which means everywhere that I go, people see what I represent.
Yeah.
Their meaning of Burn the Boats has nothing to do with me. My meaning of Burn the Boats is very similar to the Johnson family name, which is like, we're going to work hard. We're going to go the extra mile. We're going to show up. We're going to do the fucking work. And no matter what. Like, yo, you're out of money. Who cares? I've been out of money.
Right.
I'm still going to be there tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the important thing is that, like, you know, you talked about how, like, when I married into the Johnson family, like, we had this is what the Johnsons were.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, understand that when just because you marry into or you grow up, like the family that you were in, you still get to define what that name means to you. Like, you don't have to take on sure, we have things that we bring on from our family that we were shown and we were taught, and that's like good work ethic, good manners, good this, good that. But you also get to understand that when you step out of being with your parentals, that you get to figure out now what that name means to you, and you get to decide how you want to move forward.
Correct.
And be known for who you are.
Yeah.
And what your name brings into it instead of what was shown to you as you grew up.
Yeah, and I'm just going to be straight honest. Like, this was not some shit that we discussed.
No.
We didn't talk about core values.
Not
we
at
didn't
all.
talk about a family shield or a family crest.
We had no idea any of that was even a thing.
Neither did my parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they were going to work, they were doing the thing, they were whatever. And so, like, this isn't to bash anybody. This is literally like what steps we've taken to add meaning to our life, right? Because a lot of people know this, but like, I played sports my whole life growing up, which means there was a lot of days when Johnson was on the back of my shirt, and I didn't understand what that meant. I was an immature kid that was really fucking good at sports.
Yeah.
But like, I could haul off and make a scene too, which was that immaturity, which was that temper, which was that.
And then that's what people saw you as, like, that's a Johnson.
Correct.
That's the Johnson.
I now gave meaning to the name on the back of my shirt. Man, that kid's good, but he's a fucking foul-mouthed asshole, blah, blah, blah. Like, 100%, that's exactly who I was and what I did.
Yes.
So now that I get to define it, I get to define it how I want to define it. And that's something that me and you have worked on for a long, long time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, like, where that came from for us is because, you know, you brought up the fact that, like, we don't have kids to pass things down to, right?
Yeah.
And so knowing that, like, we have in our life where we want it to have meaning, we want it to have purpose, and we talk about, like, what is the legacy that we want to leave behind? And that doesn't necessarily mean, like, leaving behind to kids, because, like, for a long time I thought, like, well, man, if I don't have kids to have, like, what is the legacy?
Yeah, and what's the point?
And what's the point? Because, like, it's just Dustin and I.
Yeah, once we're
like,
gone,
Journey's
it's over.
not going to be around forever, and she can't take on, you know what I mean? But it's like having to understand that legacy, it's not about what you pass down to children.
In your family.
In your family. Legacy is about, how do you want to be remembered as?
Yeah.
What do you want to be known for? And what does that mean to you? And you have to be the one that gives the meaning to that. You have to be the one that defines that. And then you have to be the one that shows up every day living those core values that you set for yourself to help you be that person that leaves that legacy. So when people look at us and they say, that's Johnson's, I know what that means. I know what they represent.
I love that you said that. And I heard this one time, maybe it was Pastor Keith, I'm not sure. I like to give credit where credit's due. But somebody said, legacy is the feeling that you leave behind when you leave inside of someone else.
Yeah.
Money is what you leave current-wise or physically.
Yeah.
But legacy is the feelings that you leave inside of someone else. When I walk out of a room, is it like, man, I'm fucking glad that dude's gone? Or is it like, man, when that dude walks in, he changes the energy of the room. He requires me to be a better person. He requires everybody around him to be a better person, because you can see inside of him that he wants to be a better person.
Right.
And so that's his requirements when he walks in. And that's a very, like, you can start that today.
Absolutely.
And you will be remembered for that. Listen, I've worked for the railroad for 13 years, right? I was literally nicknamed day one, class one, first minute of the class. Someone said something to me and I smarted off to him. And my buddy Casey said, your new nickname is Mouth.
Yep.
Mouth. And earlier you said you can take on that identity and become that. Well, let me tell you, I was a mouthy motherfucker on the railroad. I told everybody how it was, what I felt, the way things needed to be, and what needed to be done. Hear me, I was a really good railroader. I was very good at building bridges. So I got away with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But it's not who I want to be today.
Right.
I don't want to be that person. I want to respect people. I want to honor people. I want to add to people's life. And so I had to make that change.
Right. And that, I think that's the key point right there, is that it doesn't matter where you are in your life, what you've done in your past, you get to redefine and change the meaning of who you are
every day.
Every day. So if you were a shithead for like half of your life and people know you as that, and you're like, man, I'm tired of being known as a shithead. I want to do something better. I want to be known for something better. Today, you get the opportunity to make that choice and say, today I'm going to do different. Today I decide to do different, because today is the day that I am changing the meaning of my name. And people, by the time I leave this earth, are going to see me as a different person. They're not going to see me as a shithead. They're going to see me as this, because this is what I want to be known for. And this is what I'm working towards every single day.
That's good. So when you leave, what you leave behind is your legacy.
Yeah.
It's the way you make people feel, right? It's also like, we've written 2 books. Those are timeless.
Yeah, they're around forever.
They're around forever. And I personally know there's 1,000 copies or around 1,000 copies of my book rolling around somewhere in the world.
Yep.
Like, ideally, as long as not all 999 of them get thrown away, there's still one leaving a legacy behind, sharing a part of my story, to help someone else define who they are. Because you can read my book and you can see, like, man, this dude's got off track several times, but I've redefined myself every time. And I've showed back up to the fire, and I've forged it again, and then I would start all over and change who I am again. And if you think this system's going to stop anytime soon, you're wrong. But what won't change is who I am at my core, in my character, because that's what I've been focusing on. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, you know, we talked about books, but like, even, you know, you think about social media, it's a big platform now, right? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. The things that you put on there are around for
as long as those platforms are.
As long as those platforms are.
And here's the deal. Someone can hit print on your thing today, and now they're on as long as that piece of paper's around.
I mean, just even like, you know, today I was telling Dustin, there was like, things are on the internet right now forever, it seems like. So everything from your history, whatever, when you started posting stuff, sharing stuff, like that stuff has an opportunity to come up at any time. So whatever you're sharing, understand that, like, that's a part of who you are. And yes, you have the ability to change, but like today I received a message on Facebook on a post that was back from 2017. Somebody had commented on it, and I was like, holy crap, I forgot all about that. Like, because it was such a long time ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah, it was in 2017. And that was like, wow. So the things that you put out there into the world, from the words that you speak, the actions, the energy, the whatever intention. It is. And yes, we all have different seasons in our life. Oh, some that are like, man, I was a real shithead then, to like where you are maybe more mature. But all of that stuff, everything that you put out there, or everything that you speak out into existence, does have the opportunity to come back. But what do you want to be known for today as of who you are when you show up? And that's you showing up in person as the same as you show up online, as the same as you show up in church, as the same as you show up every single place that you go, being who you are in all facets of every single circle and place that you be.
Yeah. And that's like next level self-discipline, personal development, personal responsibility for everything in your life.
Yeah.
When you take that, and it's like, no matter what happens, no matter who sees, like, it'd be easy for me to wear a t-shirt and then you huck a freaking bottle out the car, someone see, whatever. Like, now you know how important something that you say or do or wear or support or get behind or run around with or tie your name to is important.
It is.
Because now you're tied to that.
And, you know, like we were just talking the other day about how, so I used to work at a prison, and when I stepped into being the training instructor for the facility, I remember being told how you act, like you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, because when you put on this uniform, like you are representing the entire department. And that's a big thing. And it's the same as like when we put on Burn the Boats apparel. What do we want to be known for?
Right.
Because people see us, and if they see us acting like shitheads wearing Burn the Boats apparel, they're going to be like, what is that company?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And so everything that you do, wearing your name as a jersey or wearing your brand as your company, wherever you go, like how do you want to be known for when people see you wearing your stuff?
Being mindful.
Yeah.
Being mindful. And that's like, you know, Nike's a huge company. If one person gets drunk and freaking falls out of their car and someone's got it on video, it's funny.
Yeah.
Someone like my company, who's small, it causes a ruckus, and it's like, oh man, it can be detrimental.
They're a mess.
Yeah, it can be detrimental, right? And so it's like, it's so important to basically, when you're out and about, or when you decide to hit play, or you decide to sign up for something, I like to look at it as I'm always on stage.
Yes.
Let me stand on stage, let me talk, let me run my mouth all day. I'll do it in front of everybody. Why? Because I know I'm going to be on my best behavior. I know I'm going to speak from my heart. I know I'm going to be real and raw and authentic. And I know I'm going to speak life into people, right? What happens behind closed doors? What happens when 6 p.m. rolls around and we're starting to wind down or whatever? The same shit. I'm still on. And I'm not saying you like being on all the time, because you will wear yourself plumb dumb out. We've tried it. Yeah. But it's like always holding that standard of like, I'm not gonna tell him our standard. I'm
not gonna be a fucking shit eater.
I'm not gonna be a fucking shit eater. Like, period. That's like, it's one of our jokes. Like, I am not a fucking shit eater. Yeah. And I'm not gonna go out into the world like that. Right? So let's say back in the day, we had some drinks. It's 7 p.m. on Friday. It's highly unlikely that I'm gonna like, you know what we should make some stories, and oh man. Then you wake up tomorrow morning, it's like, what did I just do? Delete. It's too late, man. That shit's already out there. Yeah. People have already seen it.
You feel like an ass.
You've already been, So, the family crest of ours has meaning. Yes, and we define that meaning. Yeah. So, Tonya designed this.
I did. So,
and I will post a picture so that everybody can see it. It'll be the cover, or some way you will be able to see this picture.
Yes. So I designed the crest based off of what our core values are as a family. And these run into Burn the Boats as well.
Yeah.
So what I have on there is our core values are honor, integrity, authenticity, and grit. And so when I was choosing to build a family crest, I wanted some things that would symbolize what those were and what they meant. And so for honor, I picked an eagle. And because eagles, they have honor. And
Yeah, and so eagles fly above the storm. When they see the storm hit, they go up so that they can rise above and float on top of that pressure system that's pushing that storm in.
Yeah.
So they don't go into the storm. They're not looking to like get fucked up and be stupid.
Right.
They're like, yo, I'm up and I'm out of here. This isn't going to affect me. A buffalo literally,
charges
as the storm comes over the mountains in Colorado and it rolls across the plains, a buffalo turns and heads into the storm. Why? Because they know that it's the least painful, the shortest resistance, and the easiest way to get through the storm. So an eagle fucking flies above it, a buffalo runs through it, and everyone else runs away from it.
Yep.
And I mean that, like cattle, cows will run from the storm. So as they're running, run, here comes the storm. Now they are going to sit in it as long as possible, be miserable as long as possible, and not be able to get through the storm until the storm gets through them.
Yeah.
And so when you pick an eagle, like an eagle is the American symbol of freedom,
Yeah.
right? An eagle is like me and you got to see them eagles in Washington, you know, at the fishery, and they're like, eagles are an
Relentless.
incredible, strong, powerful animal that nobody messes with. But when you think of the bald eagle, when you think of the eagle, you think of honor. Like that's the foundation that this country was built on, right? Is honor. And we are honorable people.
Yeah.
But honor, like judges are called your honor. That's
Sure.
great. That's not my honor.
Yeah.
My honor means to me that I want to honor every single person that I come into contact with. I don't want to compete with anybody. I want to complete everybody. I want to add value. I want to add intention. I want you to know that I see you, I feel you, I hear you. When I leave somewhere, someone, or someplace, I want it to be better than how I got there.
Yes.
That's what honor means to me. And I define that.
Yep.
And you define that.
Yep.
So when I say my first core value, my first piece of my family shield is an eagle, and it stands for honor.
Yeah.
When you walk out that door, you better be honorable.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel.
And yeah, you pick that up, and it's like, this is what I need to be today. Like, I am an honorable person. So when I leave and walk out, not even when I leave, like when my feet hit the floor.
That's good.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah.
What am I doing to be an honorable person today?
That's good. We actually just had friends go to Vegas, and they bought some brand new Jordans, and they paid like 85% of it in cash and the rest of it on credit card, or vice versa.
Yeah, something like
But anyways, the dude handed back our friend a grip of cash, and she walked out and turned around and said, I wasn't supposed to get money back. Like, she had paid the cash ahead, swiped the card for the rest. Dude hands her a bunch of money back. She said, I wasn't supposed to get cash back. Turned right back around, went right back into the store to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It took a little bit to do the right thing, to be honorable, so that that dude doesn't get fired, which is the smallest of your concerns.
Sure.
Because if you get away with that, and you end up with a couple $100 that my man gave you, you now live with that.
100%.
That guilt,
You know.
that's, you took that money
know.
and you weren't supposed to get it.
Uh-huh.
I've done it. And you know it right here in your guide.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, honor to you. You went back, you made it right. If it had been 10 years and you went back, you made it right.
Yeah.
If there's still restitution and shit, you make it right. But like, honor is important.
Yes, it is.
And when you make that decision that I'm not going to walk off with that money, or that I'm not going to walk past that piece of trash, or that I'm not going to do that thing with that gal on the first night that I met her. See, this has been going back a ways.
Oh, yeah.
Learning and growing.
Yeah.
That's the definition of honor to me. And that's the first core value and the first piece of our family crest So when you put Johnson on the back of your shirt, it means honor.
It does mean honor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really good. The second piece is integrity. And so with that, I chose a scale system, because like integrity, that's who you are as a person, but like doing what you say that you're going to do no matter what. And, you know, we've had conversations about, there's times that like you can be a person of integrity and things don't work out the way that you want them to. But to be in integrity is to reach out and say, hey, I said I was going to do this. I'm not going to be able to do it on this time frame, whatever. But speaking the truth and saying things like that. Like, for instance, I had a situation recently. I had promised in my group that I was going to post something at a specific day, and things just weren't working out right. And I was frustrated and like all kinds of upset about it, because it was like, no, I said that I was going to do this and I need to get it done. And it's like, you can, like in that situation, it was like, you can beat yourself up and stress yourself out and try to get it done on time, or you can reach out to your people and say, hey, I know that I said I was going to do this and get this done. Things just aren't working out right now, so it will be posted tomorrow morning,
or as soon as I can get it up.
But it's knowing when to, like,
admit you're wrong,
but continue and do what you say you're going to do, even if the time frame doesn't match up to what your expectations are.
Yeah, and that's at the end of the day, it's like, do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And if you can't do that, be in communication with the people or the thing or the deal that you need to take care of, and take care of it in a timely manner.
Right.
Can you always do that? No. Is there other people involved, like when it comes to business or relationships or fitness or whatever? Like, there's always someone else involved. Yes. So it's as simple as, hey man, feeling sick today, not going to make it to the gym. Whatever that is, because someone's relying on you. And if all it takes is for you to remain in integrity, to do the right thing, to keep the scales even and true.
I was going to say, I think, you know, for me, with integrity, that just in another way means honesty.
Yeah.
Because like, if you're not honest on your word of saying what you're doing, you're out of integrity.
Yep.
If you're not doing what you're saying you're going to do, you're not in integrity. You're not being honest. And so the scale really reflects that, because like having an honest scale, you know, not cheating the scale. Yeah. Like, it's just a really good representation.
I love it. And you did awesome.
Thank you.
So you created this whole thing.
Yeah.
And we had sat down, planned our core values years ago. So honor, integrity, and the next one's authenticity.
Yeah.
And authenticity is a really big one for me.
Absolutely.
Only because of my experiences and some of the people I've been around and some of the experiences I've had. Authenticity to me means that I'm going to show up the same here today on this podcast, at the gym, at the grocery store, whatever that looks like. I'm going to show up and do my best that day. Yeah. My best that day is not the best every day, but my best that day is my best. So we've gotten so far off as a society that I don't know. I know me and you have talked about it, but I don't know if you guys have ever talked about it. There's this trend going on that you have to tell people now that you are real. Yes. And what I mean by that is like the real Dustin Johnson. And I get what it is. Instagram's got so many names and so many tags. And so like, Dustin Johnson's a freaking pro golfer. Yeah. You don't stand a chance to
and so many
influencers.
People who steal your name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But anyways, there's so many names out there that you've had to come up with the Tonya Johnson, or in my case, Dustin G. Johnson, because Dustin Johnson's taken by 500 million other people. Sure. But we've come to this place now where all the filters, all the screens, all the things, all the Lambo pictures, all the influential full of shit motherfuckers, all the whiskey drinking, cigar smoking people that is all just smoke and mirrors on social media has now turned into this thing that if I'm real and I'm who I say I am, I now have to put real in front of my name so that people are like, oh, well, that's the real one. Everybody else is fake.
Yeah.
Like, that's how ridiculous social media has become.
Yeah.
And it's not just social media. The other day, Tonya and I drove past this gym, and this was literally like, I started giggling because it was like, we have real weights and real machines and real people. And I'm like, what? What are we even talking about anymore?
Yeah.
Like, why are we even having to disclaim that I'm real?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to authenticity, it really comes down to being you everywhere that you go.
Yeah, I think like that's the biggest point, because there's people that we've met that are not the same people that they are in person as they are online.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and it's hard. You got to keep up this,
hard.
but whatever. Like, that's not my problem.
No, it's
because
not.
I used to have that problem.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, I don't want to have to take this mask off.
Yeah.
To go into this room and play a chameleon everywhere that I went so that I could fit in with them and I could be real over there. And we could smoke pot in the corner over there and we could roll with the skateboarders over here. Listen, I've been doing that shit my whole life. And a lot of that was because I was really good at sports. And so it was like, give me a board, give me a bike, give me blades, whatever, like everything combined for me, right?
Yeah.
And so being you
Yeah.
is a fucking hard thing to do. Why? Because we've allowed so many other people to tell us, so many other people to show us, and a lack of people showing us and teaching us true core values, true meaning to life.
Yeah. I think some of it comes down to also it's a people pleasing.
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm 100% a people pleaser. Have been my whole life.
Yeah, and so it's easy to fall into that chameleon.
Sure.
Like, I want to fit in, so I want to, what do I need to take on to fit into this crowd or to please these people or to do this thing? And so you get to be where you're different people around the different people that you're the groups that you're in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, authenticity is a really big deal, you know, knowing who we are. And we've had to work at defining who we truly are, because it's easy to get lost, to lose yourself, you know, as you're going through the journey of life and you have different things that come up. You have traumatic experiences or whatever. Like, there's things in life that can change who you are if you allow it to. It can help you, or not help you, but make you lose your way. And so, like, Dustin and I, we've done a lot of work over the years, you know, from the things that we've endured with the endometriosis, the drug addiction. Like, there's a lot of things that we've had to overcome, but in that, we've gotten to figure out who we are at our core. Yeah. And so we show up that way. And it's important for us that when we look at this shield and we see the fingerprint, we put the fingerprint as the symbol for authenticity. We see that, and it's like, I am showing up as me today. It doesn't matter what circle I'm in. It doesn't matter what group I'm in, what social media page I'm on. Like, this is me. And being okay with who you are is the first step. You have to be okay with who you are to be able to show up as who you are. Yeah.
And I truly, it just goes back to, you have to figure out who you are and what you want, and that really requires you to define that too.
Absolutely.
And we've just been so far off of everybody telling you what to do and how to do it and blah 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 that, like, it's just ran rampant. And it's like, how can you lose who you are when it's like, there's no rules to this. Like, there's no owner's manual. There's no like, oh yeah, you just, at 6 you should be doing this. At 25 you should be married with 2 kids. No. Like, we all know that's not how life works at all. No.
And you start to look at, like when you step into a new season of your life, a new area that you don't know, it's unknown. You look to other people who you think have the answers, and they're just trying to figure it out for themselves too. But that's how you lose your way. And you start to try to fit in and people please and like
do things the way everybody else does.
Exactly.
And that was like a real talk. The biggest, fastest way that I lost myself was I was asking questions to other people that had done the things that I wanted to do or was working on. And they would share with me how they did it. And the way that they shared with me how they did it is like, that's the only way. And so I would get stuck on these like, oh shit, well, you got to do it this way. Well, because he said or she said, and it's like, well, it worked for them. But what I've had to find out is like, awesome, that worked for you. Let me see how that, okay, yeah. Let me take these pieces and build my own. Instead of fully embracing that this is how you have to do it or this is where you need to be.
Right.
And so along the way, I've lost myself. Real talk. And it seems silly. It's like, no, you've been here the whole time. And it's like, no, you get going, you get doing, you get, you end up at a job.
You lose parts of yourself.
Yeah, and you just, like, next thing you know, you turn around and it's like, man, who am I? What do I stand for? What does my name mean? What am I doing? Right? And so for me, like, this is also a ground, right? It's like, I don't know who I am today, but these are the traits that I live by. So as long as I focus on these 4 traits today, I know that it's a high likelihood that I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to get a divorce. I'm not going to end up in rehab. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Like, because I have used these as my North Star, as my compass to begin to direct my life. And I've heard it said too, like your core values are like guardrails on the interstate, right? Yeah. So if there's no guardrails, you can fucking do whatever you want. And you can go as fast as you want. You can do it however you want, right? And so what happens is oftentimes we run off of the road. And you lose yourself or you go to jail. You get this or that happens. And the next thing you know, you're like, man, I'm fucking at the bottom of the ditch. Yeah. And it's like, right, how are you guiding your life? Like with the steering wheel. And it's like, well, that didn't work very well. What can we do differently? Learn from that. Learn that maybe if we put guardrails on, we can at least stay in between the lanes, like bumpers at the bowling alley. Right? So now I can throw my ball literally sideways. Sure. And it's going to bounce and bounce and bounce. That's all going to hurt. Trust me. Like that's pain, right? That's pain. That's struggle. That's challenge. Bang, 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 bang. But if you throw it hard enough, it's going to knock the pins over, which is the idea in bowling. On the highway or in life, when we guide ourselves by guardrails, can you get drunk and drive through the guardrail? You sure can. Sure. But the chances of going down into the lake are way less because you're going to hit that guardrail first. Yeah. Can you be rolling down the highway and like, probably better pay attention, get back over here, boop, oh, yeah. And you use them as guidelines to keep you going in the right direction. Right? And so if you look at core values like that, if you look at your family crest, if you look at your meaning, like it's really just a direction for you to go and a way for you to keep your life headed in the right direction. Yeah. And if you focus on it like that, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Yeah. That's the way I've heard it. It's the way, like it makes sense to me. Like,
yeah. Well, that's a really good analogy. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. So the last one that we put was grit. Grit. And so the symbol that I chose for that was a oak tree. Oak trees are strong. They are sturdy. And they last forever. And that's something that like Dustin and I have had in our life since I can remember is we are just made of grit. We just keep showing up.
Just keep going.
No matter what, like life is going to throw you a shit sandwich once in a while and you have the opportunity to quit and give up and cry and bitch, complain and moan about it, or you can freaking put your head down.
Put mustard on it and eat that son of a bitch.
Put your head down, get to work, keep going, and know that the storm is going to pass. Yeah. It's going to pass.
Yeah, you're going to get through everything in life. Every single thing on this earth is temporary. Yeah. Period. Temporary. This, I literally have a goal. I just wrote it down. Yeah. It's right there on my wall. And my goal is to be married for 80 years, which is going to require me to reach an age of 103. So what does that entail? That's not some like fairy tale, oh, I hope this works out. No. What's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to continue to work out. Yeah. I'm going to have to continue to watch what I eat. I'm going to continue to have to stay in my lane with my guardrails and keep going in the right direction to hopefully make it to 103 and meet my goal of being married for 80 years.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that work is on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I get hit by a car today? Absolutely.
Yeah,
and there's
no
not shit I can do about
that.
that.
But you can still show up and put the work in that's necessary.
Because I now have the line set.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, everything that I do has to sort of be headed in that direction, or I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So I don't want I'm not going to make it to be on me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he let his health go and he ended up dying. Well, he whatever, right? And so it's like, I'm going to leave it to fate, but man, I'm going to work my fucking ass off to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I turn 103 and I've been married 80 years, you're going to know because I lived this way.
Right.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I think too, you know, like when I think about the oak tree, like it has roots and the roots run deep.
Sure.
To keep it foundational.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I liked about that is because Dustin and I have built a very strong foundation in who we are as a couple, who we are as individuals. And so that gives us something to stand on because we have a solid foundation. And so from that solid foundation, we have that grit to keep going, but we also have the ability to live within these means and use those guidelines to be honorable, to live within integrity, to be our true authentic selves, and to have grit for whenever the storm comes, because it's coming. It's coming. And to have that grit to continue to show up and keep going. But we know that when that storm comes, we're not going to get blown over and tossed at sea, because we have those strong roots that we've built over time and we've built together. And I really love that part. Yeah.
So that's our family crest.
Yes.
Honor, integrity, authenticity, and grit. An eagle, the scales, a fingerprint, and a tree. The fingerprint.
I was going to say, are you going to touch on that?
Yeah. So the fingerprint is something really cool. Pastor Keith, our pastor, has been really big on this, and it makes perfect sense. And I want to explain it to you the way he explains it. Is the fingerprint that you have at the end of your finger is actually the only one in the world. So the fingerprint that you have is unique. So unique that it's the only one. And you were given that fingerprint to make an imprint on the world that also no one else can make. So your life is for you to make an imprint with your fingerprint on the world that no one else can make. Like, you're special, you're unique, you're 1 in 400 trillion, you are one of a kind. And your job is to make an impact or an imprint on the world that no one else can make. And that means you have to show up every day to do the things that you feel called to in your heart, to do the things that you know you're supposed to do, to let go of the shit that you know's got you held down, to do better in the things that you need to do better at, to do less in the things that you need to do less at, and to continue to improve, because you were put on this earth to make a fucking impact. And impact to me means important action. And the only way you're going to change this world is by making important action over and over and over again that somebody can see, that somebody can witness, that somebody can be a part of, and say, hey, that person acts different than anything I've ever done or seen before. What does he have that I don't have? Because I want that in my life. And that's how we started defining core values. What does that guy have? Honor. He stands true. He stands proud. And it was like, when we started putting all this together, like, it starts making sense. And I now have a family crest that people have seen and people have at, and it was like, oh man, that's super cool. That's awesome. That's way rad. That's whatever. And the moral of that story is, people want their shit to mean something. And the only thing your shit is ever going to mean is the definition that you give it.
Yes.
And then the way that you live it. Because it's super easy to put a sticker on a table. It took us, I don't know, 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But to live this out is a lifetime of effort and work and showing up and blood and sweat and tears to being and living life like that.
Yeah.
So if you want meaning, define it.
Yeah.
And once you define it, live by it. And honestly, no one will ever have to ask me what my core values are because I walk in them.
Yep, every day.
If you ask somebody today, name 3 things about Dustin, they're going to say real, raw, and authentic. Because I tell the truth, I say what I mean, and I will be as true as I can be. Sometimes it's hard, but it's for our own good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But that's what people will say about me.
Yes.
Because that's how I walk into a room. That's how I walk into everywhere
and
that
that's
I
how
go.
you've showed up every single day since the day I've met you.
Yeah, for years. Even when I was a schlub, like
Sure.
I was a top-notch schlub, just being honest. Right? Like when it boils down to it, even when it comes down to treatment, like when I checked into treatment, that dude said, listen, there's not a lot of you left. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, everybody else is dead. And the words that came out of my mouth at 260 pounds, 3 packs of cigarettes a day, 12 Mountain Dews a day, and 6,000 milligrams of prescription pills every day was a good thing I'm not like everybody else. Like I wanted to be the best as a shithead, right?
Yeah.
And that's how all this comes to fruition. We just continue to do better than what we did yesterday, continue to define who we are, and then continue to hone in and walk in that definition, living that out.
Yeah.
Because a family crest doesn't mean jack shit if you don't act it.
Yeah, if you don't act it and you don't live it every single day.
Yep.
Every single day.
Yep. And that's...
And that, yeah, and like, you have to make that a priority in your life. Because just like with anything, if you don't make something that you want a priority, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
Sure. And like I said, like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, right? I could probably put this on a freaking t-shirt, right? Burn the boats and somebody would buy it.
Sure.
But listen, art is great. This isn't art.
No.
I know that this is a sticker.
Yeah.
But this sticker is only a representation of what I feel inside of my heart and what I carry on my back.
And what it means to us doesn't have the same meaning to somebody else.
No, absolutely not. But I'm just like being very clear that like everybody can go out and make a family crest.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like I highly recommend that you sit down as a family and do this. But do it with real shit. And do it with shit that is... I've been thinking a lot lately about the classic man. Right? And when I think classic man, it's like fit, healthy, strong. Oh, he's always a good dude. Like the dude that you go into the coffee shop and they always got something good to say about you. The guy that never goes out of style. You know what I mean? The guy that is just known for being that guy. And it's like, you know, I think of like Rambo and Rocky and all those were like kind of the classic dudes, right? Obviously, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and the rest of they're all on juice. They're huge and it's cool and they look great. Like, but that's not a classic man. Right? A classic man takes care of himself, takes care of his people, takes care of what he needs to take care of, and goes about his way in a way that doesn't ever change. It's never changing. Always in style. Always happy to be around. Always someone that you seek out when it's time to play dodgeball. Or you seek out when it's 2:00 in the morning. Or you seek out. And so when I think of the classic man, it's like, I want my shit to be good 70 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. And I just said 70 years, and that would make me like 108 at 38. You know, so I've met my goal already.
Yeah,
this is Back to the Future.
Yes.
But you get my point. Like, for me, these things I can carry for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's not a weed bong. and a Nintendo controller and you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like when you sit down to do this, give it that meaning
Right.
that you can carry, that your kids can carry, and that their kids can carry.
Mm-hmm.
When you start thinking that far out, it's like, yeah, a bong and a Nintendo controller is really fucking cool when I'm 25.
Yeah.
But when my kids 125 years from now, like, don't even know what a bong and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, pick those true foundational things that don't go away with time, that don't dissolve because the government changed, or because there's a new president, or because some weird virus flew in from wherever. Like, don't allow little disturbances in a grand scheme of 103 years of your life to mess up the things that you're working towards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like, Dustin said, I think it's a good idea. Like, if you have not sat down to do your core values as a family or for yourself, like...
How cool would that be as a family date night?
Yeah.
Or, whatever ideas you come up with.
But, like, a good place to start, like, you can find, like, what are some characteristics that I see in people that I look up to.
Yep.
And you see those and you're like, man, I really like that. I want to try that on. And then you get to, like, you know what? I want to take that and that I want that to be mine. Or maybe you pick something and you're like, I don't know if that really fits for me. Cool. You get to keep working and find the things that work for you, that stand out for you. But you have to start. And I think the best place to start is to just start looking at people that you look up to, the people that you admire, and see the qualities that they have.
Yeah.
And start to incorporate those. And then you get to show up as that every day and work towards that. And one of the things that Dustin and I do often is we will check in and be like, did I act honorable today?
Yeah.
Did I walk in integrity today? Did I show up as my true self everywhere I went today?
Yeah.
Was I showing grit?
One of the things that I have really started doing is, in a situation like a couple weeks or last week, I was at the airport and we missed a couple flights and there was this lady acting a fool. And so what I do today is I remember who I am and I remember what I stand for. But I also I take myself, I like stand outside of myself and take a personal inventory of what would Dustin from 5 years ago do right now. And if I can see growth in that vision that I take right then and there, I know I'm on the right track, right? So here I am sitting, and this lady misses her plane just like I did. That has to go get a motel just like I did. That has to, figure out different ways to do different things to get to the means of the end that we're trying to get to. The difference is I got to be the motherfucker that sat on the couch and watched her act a fool. And I got to think to myself, almost out loud, because I almost told her to shut the fuck up, but I got to think to myself, damn, I have been that person. I have done that. I have made that scene. I have caused that commotion, and I have told all those people, like she's telling right now, that they are fucking idiots. And I'm now getting, God's grace, to sit in this chair and watch the growth that I have had unfold in front of me. And I got to say, man, 5 years ago, I'd have been standing next to that lady with my arm over the top of her, telling them, like, I'm with her and this is stupid and blah, blah, blah. So when I pin myself against 5 years ago, Dustin, that's a good idea or meter for me to know that I'm changing or moving in the right direction. So that's something that I use. Man, there was something I was going to say. Damn it, I don't remember. But yeah, I think rich. Rich is not a character.
No.
Rich is not, or wealthy is not a character. It's not a core value.
No.
To make money or income, whatever is, right? But money, health, those things can disappear in an instant. So it's not something that we can mirror, or it's not something that we can act like, because you can't act rich. I know people who are rich that act a fool. I know people who are homeless who act as though they have a lot, or they, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But like, be mindful of the traits that you pick too, because like I said, marriage, this could end today.
Yeah.
In a car accident or whatever, right? Your health could end today and you could get cancer or die or whatever.
Yeah.
Your finances could end today. You could get publicly seized by the feds. I've had friends that have had it happen. Woke up at 6 a.m. on Monday morning in great shape with millions of dollars in the bank to go to bed that exact same night with the feds had raided everything that they had and took everything, all on some weird twisty shit. And the dude ended up with nothing.
Right.
And it turned out okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anything for a few years because it was all tied up in the Fed. And that's all that it takes. Yeah. Like when they freeze your assets, that's it.
Right.
And so it's like when you're looking at characteristics, when you're looking at like money's great and income is awesome and being
Your
a good
health is awesome.
Yeah, and being a person that works towards those things is awesome, but they're not core values and they're not characteristic traits. Being a person that is a good steward of money and being a person with a bunch of money is two different things.
Absolutely.
So if you want to be like a good steward of money or steward of health or steward of relationships, that's okay. Like I want to be a good steward of everything that God gives me. That's probably one of the greatest things you could ever be. But just be mindful when you're picking characteristic traits and core values that like a bunch of money in a Lamborghini are not any of that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people can want that stuff.
Sure.
And that stuff's great. Like,
right.
But it's not something that you can be. Think of the things that person driving that Lamborghini or that person running that business had to endure or do or become to have the amount of money that was given to them, right? What did they do?
Right.
And it likely doesn't have a lot to do with being lazy or whatever. So it's like, take that core value from like, damn, that dude showed up every morning at 4 a.m. at the gym, no matter what. Take that core value and see how it gets you to the financial side of things or the business side of things or the relation, whatever that is.
Yeah. I think like, first take a look at what character traits do you have currently that you
need work on
or that you see that are strong and you want to continue to make sure that you are developing that and being that every single day because you have traits within you. We all do. It's just a matter of where are they? Like, are they good traits that you want to keep to carry on with you for the rest of your life? Or are they ones that you want to change and bring new ones along that define you in a better way?
Right. And I'm just going to be real honest with you. I have 4 core values, characteristic traits. I have a family crest. I wear it on my back. I take it everywhere that I go. And I'm a sinful, wrong, failing human being. Like, this doesn't mean that I'm perfect. This doesn't mean that we have it all figured out.
Absolutely.
This is literally a tool that I have used to add meaning to who I am, but it's also a tool to keep me headed in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not perfect. We're
no.
We're
and
human
like
beings.
Yeah, right. And that's the biggest key is like, oh wow, they have all this shit. I don't have anything. Like, this was just a tool that has provided value to me, and now I want to add that value to you if you want to take that tool and create it into something for yourself. Like, if you pick up a hammer and smash your thumb, that's going to hurt.
Absolutely.
If you pick up a hammer and decide to build a house, that's going to give you something. This is no different. I could draw all this shit out. I could get it tattooed on my freaking wherever, which is going to happen. But like, if then I act a fool, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that every day that you're living within these, because there's days that like you have to check yourself.
Oh yeah.
Like, dang, I was not in integrity today.
Yep. And I'm going to bed early.
How can I do differently tomorrow?
And that's the key is like, if you fuck up today, get up tomorrow and do better.
Yep.
And if you mess that up, get up tomorrow and do better. And if you get the opportunity and you're blessed with another day, get up and try and do better tomorrow.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
With that, episode 2, season 2, Dustin and Tonya podcast.
2.0.
2.0.
Thanks for watching.
Love you guys. Catch you on the flip side.